No, so I've been married, a long time, and people ask me, what's the secret to my long marriage? We have a secret. It's that we have an understanding. If we separate, he has to take the kids. But I have to keep his mother. So what's the point? And sometimes we fight. I tell him, go take the kids. One has a tennis tournament and another has a chess game at the same time. Figure that out, Mr. Logic Man. And one has a peanut allergy. I'm not telling you which one. I get asked if I was arranged. I wasn't, but my sister was. And sometimes I'm jealous because she has a 15,000 square foot house, a private plane, true story, and a dead mother-in-law. The funny thing about arranged marriages is that they almost always seem to work out. Like my friend Kanika likes to tell her story. She's like, you think your mother-in-law is bad. So it turns out that 20 years ago when she was getting arranged, her husband didn't want to marry her. He didn't like her. But his mother put her foot down. And she said, no, you can't back out now. This match is made. We rented the elephant. But in a few years, if you still don't like the girl, you can always set her on fire. Oh, relax. They learn to love each other. It even became an inside joke. They argue like all couples, and he says, shall I get the matches? And she says, first you'll have to find the kitchen. So I met my husband online 25 years ago. Yeah, not the way you guys meet today. Like, nobody asked you up. Nobody asked, what are your hobbies and passions? Like, if he has a job, there should be no passions. Back then, there were only 2 genders to choose from. And if somebody asked, what's my orientation? I said, my apartment faces south. One time, somebody asked me if I was bi-curious. I said, what are you buying? I'm curious. We were so naive, we acted as if there was a matchmaker, even though there wasn't. Like, he asked me if I could cook. I said, can you show me your tax returns? He said, can you bring some dowry? I said, can I interest you in some Bed Bath & Beyond coupons? So in a way, we arranged ourselves, and that didn't go over well back home. Like, his mom was pissed off, my dad was upset. So, match made in heaven. Neither side of the family spoke to the other side for a long time. We refer to that as the honeymoon period. And the thing is that I don't know what's better, being arranged, falling in love, meeting online, but I do know that Americans are too obsessed with romance. Like, on this one thing, the bar is set so high. In education, so low. Like, happily ever after? Absolutely. Calculus? You did your best. Enough with the fairy tales and the happily ever after. We don't even want that. We don't want happily ever after. We just want a 1600 on the SAT and an eyebrow threading lady who won't quit on us. The aunties love that, right? Eyebrow threading. That's a real crisis where somebody fix it. Somebody watching this fix this. See, we didn't grow up hearing things like sweet dreams We grew up hearing, make money in your dreams. And I got curious. I was like, is this just an Indian thing? So one time I asked a Chinese mom. I said, Chinese mom, do you say sweet dreams to your kids? And she looked at me and she said, what is a dream? See, us immigrants, we're all the same. We're practical people. We're so practical that my daughter once asked me, she's like, Mom, do Indian people even love each other? She's like, I never see you guys hold hands or kissing. Do you even, you know? So I told her, I said, well, you are here? And why do you think we pay for so many tennis lessons? Have you ever seen us at a match? And Indian people only wrote the ultimate book on sex. To which she responded, we wrote 50 Shades of Grey. No, we're practical people. We've never even had a candlelight dinner. Why would we? We came to America for the electricity. But I love it here now. Everything Indian is hot right now in America. Have you guys realized that? Like Ayurveda, turmeric, living with your parents. Here, people bend over backwards to accommodate me. Sometimes I have to tell them, relax, don't offer me chai tea. You don't know what it is. And putting a tea bag in apple cider is not chai tea. Besides, we came here so we could order from a list of 9 lukewarm coffee drinks that all taste the same. But don't invite me to meditate. I'm already going broke on meditation. And I have to tell them sometimes, I'm like, what do you think will happen when you go to India? You think you're going to get ice cubes? You think you're going to get ranch dressing? You think you're going to get a toilet seat? Where do you think you are? The Ritz-Carlton? You think you're going to get bike lanes? Bike lanes, they don't have car lanes. See, New Yorkers think they're so tough. I tell them, go to Calcutta for one day. New York will feel like a fun little village. And you know, whoever said it takes a village has never been to a village. I remember when I watched a Brown comic for the first time, you know, one of these Indian American kids born and raised here, and they were complaining about their overbearing, difficult to please parents. I realized, I was like, oh, I'm who they're talking about. You know, we have a nickname for these kids. We call them ABCDs. What does it stand for? American Born Confused Daisies. What it should stand for is always bitching and complaining dum-dums.